What was going to be next week a rather unimpressive release of 11.0.7 with the Siren Isle, the few activities you have to do in there for the rewards available. We have already touched also on the one gear power increase available in the patch, the new ring being quite weak at the moment. So Blizzard decides to add something a bit more substantial to the experience of players, particularly in PvE activities, because they have significantly, after many complaints were had by much of the community, increased the reward and added several quality of life improvements to the Crest acquisition system in this season. The TLDR is that now, after much asking, your Crest acquisition in Mythic Plus especially will be scaling based on Mythic Plus key difficulty. So at the moment, right now, live, we are used to receiving 12 gilded crests, for example, for completing a +8. And before that, of course, it goes down to runed, and then it goes even further down to carved crests in Mythic Plus at 12. Now, with the change, you will be receiving 12 and 14 for carved crests in a +2 and a +3, and then 12, 14, 16, 18 runed crests, going from +4 to +7, and then same treatment given to gilded crests, starting at 12 gilded crests on an 8, which is exactly what you're getting now. However, if you complete a 9, you're getting 14. If you complete a 10, you're getting 16. If you complete an 11, you're getting 18 gilded crests. And finally, if you complete a 12, you are getting 20 gilded crests. The other positive change around this is that they have buffed significantly the downside of depleting the key, because before the amount of crests would have gone down to 5. So you were going from 12 to 5, you were losing 7 crests. Now you are losing 4, but also with the number increasing significantly of crests you are receiving, you would go from 20 gilded crests on a +12 to a 16 gilded crest reward on a depleted +12. So now, even depleting the key is going to give you more or an equal amount of gilded crests as if you were completing the key right now in live, as long as you are doing a +10, a +11 or a +12. And talking about depleting itself, you will now always gain more than if you were depleting a key in this current live version of the game. The QOL related to the crest system doesn't just stop at increasing the amount of crests you are receiving from Mythic Plus. You also have 3 more very good QOL additions. Number 1, the number of gilded Harbinger crests needed to purchase a nascent gilded Harbinger crest, so what you need to actually craft your 636 item, has gone down from 90 to 60. This will be impacting the decision, the question players ask themselves: is it more worth to spend these 90 crests I had for upgrading 6 tracks of my gear, or for a crafted item? So bringing a myth track piece from 621 to 639, basically increasing 18 item levels with your crest, or to get a crafted item. The price of the crafted item now has been reduced by 2 full upgrade levels on your gear. This makes it now even or slightly better than upgrading your gear on pretty much all gear besides the big stat slots, which are usually the stat slots you are saving for your tier anyways, so shoulders, helmet, chest and pants. The second good QOL is that now the number of crests needed to purchase the Tradeup bags has been reduced to 45 when it used to be 90. This is also very good. It's a very good change because, before you could spend, for example, 90 runed crests that you did not need anymore to turn into 15 gilded crests. Why is this very good? As an example, right now, if you complete Nerubar Palace in Heroic, you are getting 90 runed crests, because the first 6 bosses are giving you 10 runed crests per boss, so you're getting 60 from the first 6, and then the last 2 are dropping 15 and 15, so 30 total. So you're getting 90 runed crests from the raid, and then the last 2 bosses, Silken Court and Queen, also give you 15 gilded crests each. So the total loot from a full heroic clear is now going to be 30 gilded crests and 90 runed crests. But with this changing the number of quests needed for the trade up down to 45, because you have earned 90 runed crests from a full heroic clear, you can then turn them in twice to get 15 and then 15 more gilded crests. This means that from a full heroic run, you're getting 30 gilded crests from the last 2, and then 30 gilded crests from turning in all of the rune crests you just looted, for a total of 60 gilded Harbinger crests from a single full heroic clear. How many gilded crests was it again after the buff to be able to craft your 636 item? Oh, it was 60. Reduced down from 90. So this means that now if you full clear heroic, you will have enough gilded crests for a 636 item from crafting. The last, finally, the last of the QLs is that the Harbinger of the Gilded achievement, a discount, a account-wide discount for your upgrades, for your gear track upgrades from 15 needed per upgrade to down to 10, now requires you to be 636 in every slot instead of 639. This was quite annoying. We were getting around the time where many players were starting to reach this level and realize, hold on a second, I need 639 in every slot, but I'm filled with crafted items at 636. So how does this even work now? This is quite annoying and frustrating to deal with this achievement. Well, with the next patch, this will be adjusted to only requiring you to be 636 in every slot, in order for you to get your discounts on all of your other characters whenever you want to upgrade a piece of gear. Now, on to the actual complaint about these changes. Well, first of all, let's just take out one of these complaints, which is the fact that this is not just a temporary fix. It's not a band-aid for this particular season, because it was also already announced that this will be the starting point for Season 2. So all of these QOL improvements will carry on in Season 2. So being able to, very likely, if the raid will have more than 8 bosses, being able to get a full, mid-track crafted gear piece by clearing the full raid in Heroic will be a thing in the next season. Being able to trade up crests at 45 per 15 will be the same in the next season, as well as the massive buff to the acquisition of quests in Mythic Plus will also remain in this buffed version at the beginning of the next season. But of course, the more general complaint is, of course, well, Blizzard's done it again. They created a system that was very grindy and slow, let players complain for 2 to 3 months, and then when they started seeing the participation drop, the engagement drop, the subscriber numbers lowering, they were like, ha, let's press the emergency button, let's give them back a more relaxed system with more QOLs and a more easy time in having good results and good progression of characters to get players to play again. That is the general accusation being thrown at Blizzard for these changes. Now, to be fair, although this is very likely part of what makes Blizzard and companies as a whole operate, checking out the engagement numbers of your user base, it's also the fact that, of course, many of these features were not seen as issues for several weeks at the beginning of the expansion, simply because we haven't reached that level yet. For example, many players right now are complaining about Valorstones. Well, Valorstones for several weeks at the beginning of the expansions were not a problem. They were not a problem because at the beginning of the expansion you were running tons of Mythic Zeros, and after that tons of Mythic Plus, and then the raids, and you were still doing things like weeklies and dailies and all these open world events for renown levels, for the initial gear you might have wanted from the world quest, maybe also from the coffer keys, from completing your delves at the beginning of the season, all of which rewarded you with Valorstones. So you really had no real feeling of constantly running out of Valorstones. This became a thing, of course, when players were less busy with their main after a few weeks and started dipping their toes on their alts. Their alts that didn't do all of that. Their alts that didn't feel like going out in the open world, doing a bunch of world quests or doing a bunch of delves, and simply wanted to get in Mythic Plus or wanted to get in the raid and realized, damn, for all of these upgrades, for all of this gear, I need my Valorstones. Same goes for the catch-up system, The catch-up system and alts feeling very far behind, well, you had to let a lot of time pass before feeling like you were behind. right? It's not that 3 weeks in, players were complaining about the amount of gilded quests they had to farm on their alt to catch up with their main. They had to wait a couple of months before realizing you were 600 or 700 gilded quests behind on your mains. So many of these problems happen now simply because this is around the time in the season when they would manifest. And also, to be fair, at the very least, we have also already gotten the confirmation that this will be the starting point from Season 2, so presumably you won't really have any of these issues in Season 2 from the very beginning. It's definitely a very good help, not just for your main characters but also for your alts, because now, as mentioned, it will be much faster for you to gear up your alt. We just said that a full heroic run of the raid will give you 1 636 crafted item from the get-go, on top of whatever possible items you might have looted from the heroic raid. Running 3. If you can run 3 plus 12 keys, you get 60 gilded quests, which is enough for another 636 crafted item. So it has, and we can say it will definitely, even in the next season, speed up the gearing up process on your alts, both the discount, especially the discount on your crafted items, as well as the increase, the 80% increase in gilded crest acquisition in Mythic Plus. There is also another very good positive, which is the Mythic Plus ecosystem right now turned into a cesspool, because most players who have given up basically pushing keys in Mythic Plus have practically defaulted for running Mythic Plus 8 keys, because that's when they start giving gilded quests, or Mythic Plus 10 keys, because that's the highest item level reward you can get in your vault. So this has created two problems. Number one, that plus 9 keys are dead because they are in the middle and they give you absolutely nothing. That is better than a plus 8 without being harder, or nothing that is better than a plus 10 because it won't have the same item level in the Great Vault. And also it creates a lot of competition, as we mentioned. You're gonna have players right now who are 635 item level, 636 item level, even higher than that, simply going all the way down to a plus 8 to get their weekly gilded crest cap, for example. This creates a problem with all of the alts, all of the new characters, characters at 615 or 620 item level that go in the looking for group tool, queue up for a plus 8, and of course most of the time get simply ignored or declined because the competition is much better geared characters. Now this is an attempt to spread the player base across more key levels, because now all of those players we mentioned being at 635 or 636 or 637 item level will very likely move away from plus 8 keys, even from plus 10 keys, because now a plus 12 will give you 20 gilded quests instead of 12 of a plus 8. So many more of those players will try to get now into an 11 or into a 12 compared to right now that they are all sticking to an 8 or to a 10. So it will also make it more smooth and easier for alts and generally speaking, new under-geared characters to make it into the first layer of your gilded crests Mythic Plus keys, being the plus 8 level. It will be basically more playable now for the more scuffed alts. Now, the last problem that might still linger around despite all of these QOLs is the point about Valorstones, of course. Because even right now in game, for example, imagine it's been 3+ months into the season. I kind of want to have, I guess, some fun and excitement about doing something else. Time to play a different role, a different spec. Let's upgrade a different weapon so I can play. It's 900 Valorstones for 5 upgrades. Maybe I want to be an enhancement shaman, so I want double weapon for enhancement. I have to upgrade 2 of them for more than 1,000 Valorstones. That is still a lot of content being required in terms of Valorstones. Now, there is one point, even though Blizzard hasn't given us numbers, is where they said currency rewards from Mythic Plus dungeons. Now, we saw the table of crests, and they were here. However, Blizzard is also pointing out that gold and Valorstones are now going to be scaling by keystone level. and completing a keystone outside of the timer, of course, will still deduct you fewer crests than before. But gold, I guess, for the very poor players, but more importantly, Valorstones will now be scaling with key level as well. So not just crests, but Valorstone acquisition as well. That's the hope that we have right now. Because right now, for example, from completing a 10, you get something like 80 to 85 Valorstones, which still feels quite low for a key, especially if you consider you have to spend several hundreds for upgrades. It will be multiple, way more crests in order to get your crafted items and your upgrades. So let's hope that with this change we can get into the hundreds, especially when you start getting into the higher keys like 10s, 11s and 12s, you know, 100, 150, 200 Valorstones for a +12 would feel kind of good. Good enough at least. To further give more incentive to players to continue pushing and not just stick to +8 because it was the one that gave you the best reward. So this has been the announcement for Blizzard about the added set of changes for the incoming 11.0.7 coming out next reset, which will very greatly improve the gearing up system, not just for main characters but also for many of the alt characters and in general the more under-geared characters at the moment in this season. And more importantly though, because this season is like 3 months in, we are now well into the second part of the season, more importantly because all of this will function as the base to start off of from season 2. So many of these, all of these QOL improvements will already be in place as we begin the next season. So it's a very good addition at the very least for the upcoming season to begin with. So it is at the very least, if a bit too late for season 1, a very good starting point for the beginning of season 2. Now, with this out of the way, we can now leave each other on this Thursday. We're starting as usual the goodbyes by thanking everyone for having watched the video, together with, of course, everyone who is supporting completely for free by liking and commenting down below, as well as subscribing to the channel itself. Now, with these things out of the way, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys tomorrow, and in the meantime, yeah. I had to go out, but I had one of those I am too tired to even move moments, so I guess we will delay that to tomorrow.